Come with me if you want to live.
Are you not entertained? Is that why you are here?
This is it. Don't get scared.
Hello and welcome back to a brand new Flick Pick live show. This is it. Don't get scared now. Thanks for joining me for this Friday evening live show. I was feeling a little bit frisky. I missed you guys and I figured I'd pop online and say, well, how the hell are you? And here we are now. Thank you, technology. Thank you, internet. Can you guys hear me? I don't trust technology at any point any longer in my life. I don't trust it. Can you hear me? Can you hear my stupid voice echoing through this microphone, going through the internet and pulsating into your ears? Do you like it? Okay. I'm wearing the drive jacket because Halloween is upon us, and it was convenient, and it was in my closet, and every once in a while, I like to whip this bad boy out, and it just makes me feel good. You know, I've had this thing for like 12 years. I'm never going to get rid of it. I'm never going to sell it. I will never wear it outside of the house because how often can you wear a silky white jacket outside of the house other than, you know, if you're going dirty dancing at a disco hall? Other than that, you can't wear this shit outside, but I will wear it in my live streams for all of you to look at. I know it's glorious. All right. So yes, I did get married, and on the next live show, I will introduce you to my wife, Nikki. But currently, she's outside with her friends at a bonfire, which I got started for them because you can't leave fire to women. They're going to burn the house down, and they'll have third-degree burns. So I got that started, and here I am now. So thanks for all the congratulations on getting married. Yeah, it's a weird feeling. It's really weird. You know, it kind of feels exactly the same, except there's more legality to it now. It's like I have to sign paperwork now. We can't just ever split up. We got to sign paperwork to make that happen now, which is, I guess, kind of nice. But yeah, it feels good. And the wedding, and I'll talk more about it in a live stream with her next time. But the wedding, I sort of had tunnel vision. I blinked my eyes and it was over before I knew it. It was 5 hours long, but I swear to you, it felt like it was 23 minutes. But then again, I'm secretly an introvert, and part of me couldn't wait until it was over. I was like, okay, my social battery is running on empty. Someone jumpstart me. Okay. But thanks for all the congratulations. It does mean a lot. All right. So let's dive into the questions here. And how are you guys doing? What's new with you? How is life? It's crazy. And I will answer this question real quick. I do have a Venom review coming. It should be out tomorrow because I got my Venom cup and I got my Venom popcorn bucket. John, why haven't you made a review? Because I was fucking busy today. I'm sorry. Please forgive my sins against humanity. And by the way, you can just fist Venom's mouth. When it comes to the Venom 3 film, The Last Dance, this popcorn bucket was the best thing about the movie. You just got to watch out for the teeth. They get a little sharp if you don't know what you're doing. Here, what do I do with this? Piece of cheap Chinese junk. I paid $60 for that piece of trash. Anyway, it makes me feel better about who I am and what I'm doing. Okay, let's dive into the questions here. And the first one comes from the 50% Doctor Who podcast. Have you seen Late Night with the Devil? I have seen that. I watched it a few months ago. I think it was a great concept. But halfway through the execution of it, it lost a little bit of its mojo, in my opinion. But I thought there was a lot they could have done with that late night talk show setting. And I love movies that take place in one location. I get it. But I felt like it kind of ran out of steam. And once the mystique was gone halfway through the film, I was like, okay, now what? And it just felt like random things happening that weren't that entertaining. But then again, I vaguely remember the movie. I just remember thinking the concept is phenomenal. The first act is great. But there's something about possession films I'm sort of over. That's one horror genre that I think is kind of coming to an end, or should take a break or a hiatus. The whole possession, demonic little girls. It's like, once you see fucking Poltergeist, what more do we have to say here? Or not even Poltergeist. The Exorcist. Please let me slap my hand for being so delayed with that response. How dare I? Okay, the next one comes from Jack Taylor, who says, had a friend who's a girl come over for a Halloween movie. Okay, I like where this is going. Tell me more. She hates horror films and is easily scared. We settled on Ghostbusters. That scared her. What would you recommend for a family-friendly Halloween film? You should probably put on some Irreversible or something like that. Honestly, Hocus Pocus. What lady doesn't like some Hocus Pocus, you know? You got Bette Midler singing. You got Thackeray Binks. Though for about 20 years, I thought his name was Zachary, and I just thought someone had a lisp. But in fact, their name is Thackeray. Anywho, put on Hocus Pocus. You can't go wrong. I just put that on tonight. It's good background noise. I've seen that movie probably 493 times. I saw that movie in theaters. And oddly enough, Hocus Pocus came out in the summer of 1993. And it played until the fall. That shit was in theaters for like 5 months. And I just remember seeing it in the summertime thinking, this feels odd, but I don't mind. The next one comes from the Dark Mike, who says, hey, John, again, congrats on the marriage. Well, thanks for that. Have you watched The Bear or Succession? Also, Rogan and Trump podcast just came out. Yeah, I definitely am intrigued to watch that. I will check it out probably the next time I mow my grass. That is when I listen to my podcast. That's when I specifically savor the flavor for my podcast. So I will listen to that on the lawnmower at some point. The Bear, I've never seen. Succession, I've seen a few episodes. I need to watch The Penguin Show. People are claiming it's great. A lot of people who have never seen The Sopranos say it's really good. And I just think, well, if you saw The Sopranos, it's kind of like the same thing, isn't it? Except this guy has club feet. Christopher, come here. I do want to watch The Penguin. I'm currently rewatching Breaking Bad with my, it's weird to say, my wife. That's so formal and permanent. But anyway, we are currently watching Breaking Bad because she's never seen it, and I have not rewatched Breaking Bad all the way through and since it originally aired. So I'm enjoying that quite a bit. Bitch. Jesse, you must be very precise. 2 parts helium, 1 part oxygen. What don't you understand? Okay. Anyway, did I answer the question? I think I did. The next one comes from Butthead. What a great name. That should, see, if I couldn't make this YouTube channel's name my name, John Flickinger, I think Butthead would have been just as fulfilling. Probably more marketable, to be honest with you. Who wouldn't remember being subscribed to a channel called Butthead? But anyway, here we go. Butthead says, hey, John, What are some directors who lost the sauce? Oh, man. For me, I'm going to... I got a few, but the one that just came to the top of my brain was Michael Bay. Michael Bay movies used to be an event. They used to be fun. And now it just feels like every movie he puts out is a parody of other movies he's already made, and they're just nauseating to watch. And it's almost like he's lost his damn mind and cranked up the color saturation and contrast at 9,000%. And he makes these movies that have scripts that are made for 90-minute runtime films, but he makes like 3-hour movies out of them. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Michael Bay. Because at one point, Michael Bay, when he was putting out a new action movie, I looked forward to it. I was like, okay, this is going to be a spectacle. I'm going to turn my brain off and hopefully choke to death on some popcorn when I watch this. And I'm talking to you, Armageddon. But anyway, Michael Bay's one of them. God, there's a multitude of directors. Ridley Scott has been very hit or miss. Steven Spielberg, I can't remember the last phenomenal, great Steven Spielberg movie I've watched. And I'm not saying he hasn't cranked out a few okay movies over the last decade or two, but he hasn't put out anything that's going to stand the test of time for me. I'm trying to think of something like Minority Report and Catch Me If You Can, and maybe he's put out one or two things after that were okay, but they're not coming to my brain. So those are a few directors I would say that kind of lost their sauce. Claudia Rogajon says, did you hear about the American Psycho remake? I think I heard something about that somewhere. Did they say who was cast to be in the film? Or are they going to cast maybe some unknown, lesser known actor? And for me, I think that's exactly what they should do. Cast like one of the dudes that were in the Menendez Monsters series or something. The guy who played Lyle was basically doing his best impression of Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, was he not? I think if they're going to do it, cast a slightly lesser known actor to really take over that part. But is it a remake in the 1980s? I think if they remade American Psycho, go to the 1990s. I would be okay with that. Push it up a decade. I think there's a lot of interesting things you could do with a 90s backdrop. All right. Bruce Cook says, John, how is married life? Sort of the same, except now I wear a rubber band around my finger when I go out at places to symbolize our bond of marriage. But I didn't wear it here. I'm sorry. Because when I'm here talking to you, I'm a single guy. All right. Nothing weird. Okay. A little bit of weird. Just don't tell anybody. We got a big question here from Patrice Chaswick, who says, congrats, big guy. Welcome to the end of your life. I've been waiting for a long time. Anyway, hopefully this 100 can get you a nice bottle of bubbles to celebrate. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that. I don't drink wine or champagne because the last time I did, I puked up my guts on New Year's Eve. But I will buy some nice, I'll buy some Jack and Diet Coke. But thank you for that. Also, I run an international company from Australia. How do I approach channels for sponsorships? Email them, find their emails, or DM them on X or Twitter. But yeah, send a DM, man. Emails are probably the best way. I'd go to their channel, find the email, or you can send me an email. That shit's down below. But thank you for that. That's too kind of you. You guys are too good to me. Thank you for that, though, man. That does mean a lot. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Since getting back into the YouTube game, it's a little rougher than it used to be. You know, speaking of sponsorships, I remember a time on YouTube when every day I would check my email and I'd have to say no to sponsorships. Now, all the sponsorships, they don't go to YouTube. They go to like TikTok people. They're like, hey, I'm going to pay you to do a sponsored movie review of this movie. And then they do it. And then you just see a sponsored review of a movie. And back in my day, that was not ethical. But that's the new standard of talking about movies on social media. Anyway, I don't know. I don't want to go on a tangent, though I will. Okay, the next one comes from Night King 01. John, have you ever heard the story of Christopher Nolan's Hitman brother? I'm not kidding. This is real. Watch the video on YouTube. It sounds like some Coen brothers plot at times. So wait, Christopher Nolan's brother is a hitman? Is that what you're telling me? I'll look at this later. I will research this extensively. Or probably the next time I take a crap, I'll remember to look it up on my phone. But speaking of Nolan, is anyone excited about his next film? I guess Tom Holland's starring in it. Could be good. I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't revolve around the concept of time. But then again, I'm okay if it does. All right, the next one comes from... And by the way, Patrice, thanks for the super chat, man. Too kind. You're too good. Too good to me. Rocky90 says, hey, John, what could have been done better in Venom 3? What could have been... Well, I'll save some of my deep-rooted thoughts for the review, but I think everything is a good starting point. I think what they should have done is whatever script they had, throw it right into a fire pit. Throw it right into the bowels of hell, okay? Here, Satan, wipe your ass with this toilet paper. And I think they need to start completely fresh and eradicate the tone that Sony's attempting to go for. And what is that tone I'm talking about? I like to call it early to mid-2000s generic comic book movie tone. Movies like Daredevil or Fantastic Four Part 2, Rise of the Silver Surfer, or Elektra. Sony has it in their mind that they need to make comic book movies. Every single movie in their Marvel Sony-verse all have the same desaturated kind of bluey look, and all the camera work and stylistic tones don't feel unique. Because the directors are just a filler. Like, the directors are just there to shot one, shot two. There's no artistic fingerprint on these films. They all look like they're shot from the same guy who directed Catwoman starring Halle Berry, okay? And I think what they need to do is, if you want to have a really good Venom movie, I think there's a tone and a style that they need to find. And I think what that is first of all, focus on making it sort of a character study. And I'm not saying you have to make it deep and dark and it has to be like Taxi Driver. I'm just saying go that direction ever so slightly, okay? You can keep some of the comedy in there, make it raunchy, make it rated R, because let's face it, rated R comic book movies do pretty well these days. I'm talking to you, Deadpool and Wolverine. And just have more fun. I think what it needs is style and personality. And also, when it comes to the Venom movies, you could tell by the second one, Tom Hardy was just like, I'm here due to a contractual obligation. I'm getting paid $7 million a movie. I don't give a shit. Hurry up, shoot this in front of a green screen so I can go home. I'll leave it there. At one point, there was a rumor, and maybe I'm making this up out of my own head, but I would have liked to have seen, and I know we'll never get this, but I wish we could get almost, and I know we'll never get this, I know, but imagine like a Darren Aronofsky, The Wrestler vibe meets Venom. Imagine that grittiness, and you don't need to make a $200 million movie. That's all. I want something like that. They need to reboot it with some like depth. But then again, I know Venom's kind of a comedic character from the comic book, so whatever. But anyway, did I mention I bought a $60 Venom popcorn bucket? Okay, here we go. The next one comes from Alberto Celis, or Celis. It's Sleaze, I bet. I recently did a marathon of your early flick trip videos. Great stuff. Is there something you miss about going to pawn shops to hunt for Blu-rays? Oh, absolutely. I'm a hunter and gatherer, okay? My Neanderthal instincts kicked in when I got in my car to look for little plastic optical discs at dirty pawn shops. And I liked the adventure of it. You never knew what you were going to find, but you had to go looking to find it. That's what I enjoy. And eventually it got to a point where I bought everything I wanted and there was no reason to go. And which is sort of sad, isn't it? But anyway, I miss a lot about it. Sometimes I go down the rabbit hole of watching some of my older YouTube videos. And I'm just like, man, that was like, not to pat myself on the back, though I will. There's some good stuff in those older videos, and I'm glad I made them. But the truth is, a lot of those videos I made, you just couldn't make them again today. It just, the universe has changed. The climate has changed, you know, and I miss it so much. To me, the golden era of YouTube was like 2011 to like 2015. I would give anything to go back and redo those 4 years on YouTube, because there's so many ideas I have that had I did them back then, before everything was saturated, and I truly feel like I would have like 2 million subscribers had I just done some of the shit I wanted to do back then. But for some odd reason, procrastination kicks in and you don't do the things you want to do. So here's some life advice for you. If you have a great idea, don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait an hour. Just do it. Now, if you have to wait an hour to set things up and make it happen, I understand. But you get what I'm saying, all right? Do as I say, not as I do. Those are the wisest words I can ever give you. So anyway, let's go to the next question here. Rocky90 says, hey, John, what could have been done better? Oh, we already answered that. Yeah, Venom 3, it kind of sucked. Zelda Fan 198 says, congrats, John. Since you are a Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter fan, I was wondering if you like Tekken and would like to see an adaptation of it. I don't know if an adaptation of Tekken would do well. I don't know if the IP has enough weight behind it, because let's be honest, the Mortal Kombat movies were sort of blah. And they could have been better, but even I think the return on the investment wouldn't do well with Tekken. Now, I did play the games quite a bit. Every time I went to the arcade, that was definitely one of the fighter games I would always play. And to be honest with you, I just button mashed the shit out of that game. I wasn't good at it, though I could get lucky. But I never knew how to do certain moves. I didn't know how to do finishers in that game. I had no clue. But I would always play it every time I went to the arcade. But Mortal Kombat was my jam. That was my shit. I used to be able to do fatalities for Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Cyrex, Smoke, Noob Sabat, and who else was I really good with in that game? There was somebody else. Oh, Sector, the red cybernetic robot ninja guy. I'm getting off on a weird tangent here. God, I miss those days. Ultimate Mortal Kombat. Playing that in my bedroom with my friends, I will never forget it. If I could go back in time just to one thing in life, it would probably be playing Mortal Kombat on my beanbag in the late 1990s with my friends, just for an hour, just to enjoy the good times once again. Okay, let's go to the next question here. The next one comes from That's a goocher, Mr. Feldman. Do you trust people who are not anal retentive? That's an interesting question. See, myself, I am anal retentive. I'm picky. I almost have a slight form of OCD. I'm a slight germaphobe too. These are things maybe you didn't know about me, but I will share them. And I feel like when someone's anal retentive about things, they pay attention to the details. And that's where everything matters. It's all in the details. It's all about ambiance and details. Remember that. That's the second bit of life advice I'm going to give you in this live show, aka podcast, because I know some of you would rather just listen to it than watch it for 2 hours, and that's completely understandable. And also, speaking of that, I should probably get off my lazy ass and start uploading these to Spotify, and I will at some point. So if you want the audio version of this, give me time. I will get there again. But back to your question. I like people who are anal retentive. I like detail-oriented people. I really do. I think secretly, in another life, I was a very, well-cultured gay man. I really do. I really believe that. Because I enjoy decorating. I enjoy looking at... I watch HGTV shows. I do. I'm telling you, in another life. Okay? All right, the next one comes from Night King 01, who says, John, you're wearing your drive jacket. What makes me ask my age-old question? Have you seen the 1978 crime film, The Driver, yet? Okay. Night King 01, I have not seen it yet, but thank you for your comments on the drive jacket. You know what's weird about this? When I first got this, I have a video wearing this for the first time in 2011. And for some reason, my head looks bigger than it does now, and my neck looks skinnier. And the jacket just didn't fit as well as it does now. I've really filled it in. I've gained 20 pounds since then, so maybe that's what I needed. But it feels good. It finally feels like it's like I'm growing into it. And I'm just going to keep rubbing my nipples with a silky drive jacket laying over the top of them. Is this what you guys come here for? I can keep doing it. I can keep doing this if you want. Okay, I'll stop. All right. The next one comes from Lee B. Films, who says, if you could only watch five directors' movies for the rest of your life, who would you choose? Oh, these questions where I have to pick 5 of a certain thing off the top of my head. Well, so they have to be existing films? I want to have this filmography of the director that I'm picking. That way I have a bigger selection of great films to go back to when I'm stuck in my bomb shelter. Okay, if that's the case, if I get their filmography with anything else they're making, because I'm stuck in a bomb shelter, and these are only 5 directors' movies I can ever watch, you got to go Spielberg. Who else can you pick here? I'd probably go with Zemeckis, because you get Back to the Future, you get Forrest Gump. Okay. Third director would probably be, I want to say Cameron. I'll go with Cameron. But that also leaves... See, there's a lot of movies I love, but the director has only made 1 or 2 other decent things. And it's really unfortunate. Did I just name 3 directors? Let me think. Let me think of 2 more directors of filmographies that I... Oh, gosh. Maybe the Coen brothers? I don't know. That's 4. I don't know. Someone pick 5 for me. I'm at a loss. That's the best I can give you right now. All right. Without the flick pick, I don't know if I'd ever loved movies as much. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, Lars von Trier. That's definitely one. Antichrist. Yeah. I got to watch that on rerun. I honestly wouldn't go with Kubrick. I'm going to be honest with you. I just wouldn't. I like a lot of his movies. I appreciate them. I think they're masterpieces, but rewatchability, I never really got that from Kubrick. Oh, Yuri Ball. Oh, God. I hope that guy's burning in hell. Or I hope he does one day. All right. Oh, Scorsese. Yeah, I'd go with Scorsese on that. I'd probably go with Scorsese. All right, the next one comes from That's a goocher, Mr. Feldman. Can you do an impression of Jack Nicholson as Mike Judge in Office Space? Okay, you're laying a lot on me. Okay, an impression of Jack Nicholson as Mike Judge in Office Space. That's a lot, man. Mike Judge, who was he in Office Space? I know he's the creator. Did he play a character in it? Here's the deal, Sparky. You're gonna take the car, and I'm gonna take the little lady. I don't know. Office Space. I didn't quit. I just stopped going in. I don't know. That's my shitty Jack Nicholson impression. Let's go to the next one here. Observing the Apocalypse 2 says, if you were a cannibal, what type of people would you eat? That's a great question. I would go with the model plumper is better. I really would. Because, listen, if you're going to cannibalize somebody, you might as well get the most bang for your buck. Let's be honest here. Yeah. We'll go with that. Oh, God. I was going to, you know what? I was going to go much deeper with that question. Maybe I shouldn't. Let's go to the next one. Would I keep them in a well in my basement for a few days to let them wither down a little bit to make skinning them easier? Yes, I would. Maybe. The next one comes from Joey Ruiz, Lord of the Rings, who says, Smile 2, any thoughts? What grade do you give it? So I did, in fact, see Smile 2. And to be honest with you, the last 2 weeks with the wedding and going on a small honeymoon and just recovering and just recharging my social battery, I did see Smile 2. And I thought it was significantly much, much better than the first installment, which I thought was one of the most bland, junky, made for social media consumers, horror film that just steals and rips off every other trope in other horror films. But they ran out of ideas. So now the whole trope in this one is the antagonist of the film has a stupid smile on their face, and it's not really scary. It's kind of annoying, and you laugh at it rather than be terrified of it. But I will say, the new Smile was phenomenal. I actually cared about the story. I thought the lead actress was great. I thought they had some innovative ideas. I would say the weakest element to Smile 2 was they still had to deal with the stupid trope of having a character smile. Like, and it's, what is that? Why are we doing this? To me, if you would have changed the trope of whoever's possessed smiling and you could have done something different with it and maybe make it like 10% darker, I think Smile 2 actually would have been a really good horror film. But I get that they had to go back and have the person smiling, and that's the thing that Smile 2 is, obviously, based on the title. But yeah, I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. I would probably give it like I don't know, when it comes to a horror film, maybe a B-. I think that would be fair for Smile 2. The thing is, with the Smile movies or Smile 2, I just wouldn't go out of my way to rewatch it ever again. I just feel like there's better horror films that kind of do the same thing, but maybe a little bit better. But I did like the story of her being like an ex-alcoholic and chugging 14 gallons of Voss water, which, by the way, that movie was sponsored by Voss water, which, by the way, the 16-ounce bottle of Voss water costs like, what, $14.95? So anyway, yeah, I like Smile 2 significantly more than its predecessor, which I thought was just atrocious. So those are my thoughts. The next one comes from Claudio Rogajan, who says, to add to Night King's comment on Christopher Nolan's brother, yes, Christopher Nolan has a second brother that no one talks about, who was a hitman who did a job in Costa Rica where he tortured a man and the man died and somehow he's not in jail. Well, he's probably a CIA operative, and that's where Christopher Nolan gets the majority of his ideas from, is from his hitman brother, who once again is probably an operative being controlled by the CIA. I wish I had a Voss water right now. That sounds delicious. Anyway, the next question comes from... Sorry, I'm still thinking about that cannibal question. You got me all hungry. I just had chili tonight, but... Taro McJohnson says, I wanted John to read Super Chats while reading his vows. Right before I say I do, I read a question from Night King 01. John, have you seen The Driver yet? I have not, but I do. The next one the next one comes from Claudia Robujon. Oh, we already answered that. Night King 01, speak of the devil, who says I didn't even see this question when I just made that joke, but here it goes. Night King 01 says, hey John, great news. Some legend put The Driver 1978 in full 1080p on YouTube for free, so now all you need is 90 minutes of free time to watch it. That is where the problem lies, my good sir. I don't have 90 minutes, okay? I don't even have right now. But we're here, and that's what matters. No, I'll watch it sometime. I will. I'll give it a whirl, as they say. I'll check it out, man. You sold me on 1080p. Lee B. Film says, if there was a celebrity Mortal Kombat game, would you play it? A celebrity Mortal Kombat game? I guess. I don't know. Do I get to decapitate Kim Kardashian? What does this game consist of? Sure, yes. Mr. Awesome says, congrats on your wedding, John. Well, thanks for that, man. Yeah, and by the way, if you guys want to see a couple pictures, I only have a few thus far. We'll be getting more, but go check them out on Instagram or X. The links are down below. Couple pictures on there of the wedding. Go there and give them a like. I'll tell you, you know what I want? Here's what I want. And if you can do it, great. If you can't, I understand. But if you don't follow me on Instagram, go to Instagram, look at my wedding pictures, give it a like. For some odd reason, I want that to get to like 6,000 likes. It's at 5,500 right now. Let's make magic happen. If we get to 6,000 likes on that post, my marriage will last a lifetime. If you don't like it, it's going to end in a disastrous divorce. So help me out. That's all I'm asking. But no, seriously, thanks for the congrats. All right, the next one comes from, and if any YouTube members are in here right now, now's the time to chime into the questions. I'm looking, waiting, I'm ready and willing. Dino Boy 909 says, John, thoughts on sports? Who are your favorite sports teams? I don't watch normal sports. I watch pro wrestling. I watch UFC occasionally, though I don't keep up on it. When it comes to sports, I just don't care who wins. I really don't. Like every once in a while, there's a good game I don't mind watching. But genuinely speaking, I grew up and my parents and my dad specifically liked the Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals. So them going to the Super Bowl was kind of cool, though they lost. But yeah, I don't keep up with sports. I just don't care. When I watch sports, I just see millionaires throwing a ball back and forth. And I'm like, how can I care if they win or lose? They're all millionaires. It doesn't matter. Now, if they were getting paid minimum wage and if they won the game, they got paid an existential or a large amount of cash at the end of the game, then I think that would be interesting because they would be playing to win. They need this money. They need this victory. But when you watch a guy throwing a football getting paid $27 million a year, it's just like, yeah, all right. I don't care if the other guy catches it or who fucking cares. I don't care. And I don't think it's compelling enough, to be honest, to stay glued to it. You know, when I watch a movie, yeah, those actors are getting paid a lot of money, but there's like an artistic form of expression being told there. There's a story. There's some visual entertainment. It's immersive to me. Watching guys in tights running back and forth with a lot of downtime, I don't know. But watching pro wrestling with guys in tights covered in baby oil wrestling and telling a story, well, that's completely different. So I'll just leave it there. All right. The next one comes from... Who's it coming from? Here it is. Ken from the Boonies says, and how's he going, Ken? Congrats on your marriage, John. Have you ever thought of visiting Japan for your honeymoon? Also, thoughts on the movie The Butterfly Effect? Japan looks kind of cool. I would check it out. I mean, it does. I think it would definitely be one of the most interesting culture shocks you could immerse yourself into. Though my biggest fear with going to Japan is finding anything that I'm willing to eat. And it's not that I'm a picky eater. I just don't trust places. That's the problem. You know, I almost never go to mom and pop places just because I'm just like, they don't have a corporate standard of like cleaning things the proper way. And no one is mandating wearing latex gloves in the kitchen behind closed doors. So going to Japan, I just feel like the majority of the food that you would eat there would just be wet. It'd just be kind of wet and moving. I just imagine eating tentacles. And though that can be slightly erotic in the right setting, when I'm hungry, I just want spicy chicken nuggets or spicy nuggets from Wendy's. Though, by the way, did you hear about McDonald's lately? Not safe to eat there either. Anyway, I would like to go to Japan. I would. I think that would be pretty awesome. But for me, if I was going to go anywhere, and by the way, I can't afford to go to Japan. I'm poor. But I would go somewhere a bit more tropical. Because if I'm going to go on vacation, I want to lay out somewhere by a beach. I want some pool boy serving me, drinks with an umbrella and a coconut. You know, that's what I want. And hopefully he's muscular. I'm just saying, if you're going to have a pool boy serving you drinks, you want a muscular one with some vascularity and a loincloth. Can we go to the next question? One thing I've always wanted to see were the Great Pyramids. That is one landmark or one man-made creation I've always wanted. That and the Roman Colosseum. Those are the two things I want to see one day. But I just don't want to go to Egypt. I heard it's really dirty and gross and just like you don't want to be there and everyone pesters you and tries to sell you shit. But seeing the pyramids would be really cool. I just want to touch them. One of the 7 wonders of the world. Just go up and touch it. All right. The next one comes from Toro McJohnson. On a scale 1 to 10, how gay are you? You said 5% one time. Oh, probably at least 20%. I mean, for the right price, probably like 75. But yeah, I think everyone's like at least 5% gay. I mean, you have to be. To a slight degree, you have to be. Let's all just be honest with ourselves. That's the first step. All right? All right. The next question comes from Mark Ray Dayon, who said nothing but thanks for the... is that a sticker? I don't know what that's called anymore. I think they're called stickers. All right, the next question comes from... By the way, if you guys are in the normal chat, ask away. I'm reading questions. I'm not getting Japan confused with China. I completely referenced Japan in all the right ways. They eat a lot of sushi. I wasn't referencing China in any way. Now, if I said I want to go to the Great Wall, yes, I would probably say China. Get some ramen or something. I'll just eat rice. I just go everywhere and say, do you guys have orange chicken like at Panda Express? You know, that Americanized chicken with ketchup on it? That's what I want to eat. Like an uncultured swine. All right, the next one comes from Dusto, who says, congrats. Oh, here we go. Dusto says, congrats on your marriage, man. Long-time listener, not sure I've heard you've been asked top 5 favorite comedy movies. That's a tough question. That's a really tough question because there's a lot of comedy movies I quite enjoy, but to come up with my top 5 of all time, it would take some critical thinking ability, which I do not have on a Friday night at 11:31 p.m. But I'll try just for you. One of my favorite comedy movies of the last 20 years is Superbad. If you could go into my brain and make a comedy movie that's completely relatable to my high school life to a certain degree, it would be Superbad. Another funny, and if you want, and now if I have to pick like a slapstick comedy movie, I'd probably go with like Dumb and Dumber. That's another one. I'll tell you one of the biggest surprise comedy movies I've ever seen. And I'll tell you a little quick backstory because you guys don't want just the answer. You guys come here for the stories, right? So here it goes. Now, is this one of my favorite comedy movies of all time? I'd probably not, but I quite enjoy it. I remember the year was 2000 and we'll just say 8. And my buddy asked me, he's like, hey, do you want to go see a movie? And I said, sure. It was about 10 o'clock at night, and there was really no big IP movies out at the theater, nothing huge or epic, no big blockbusters. And he said, hey, do you want to go see a movie called Forgetting Sarah Marshall? And I said, that sounds like a rom-com movie. I don't know, man, maybe. Sure, whatever, let's go. And within the first 10 minutes of that movie, you see Jason Segel's cock, and I knew it was going to be the movie I wanted it to be. And then he starts singing like Count Dracula, which is even better. Van Helsing. So anyway, I quite enjoyed that as a comedy movie, but I'm trying to think of like a few other movies I would say are my favorite all-time comedy movies. And what we'll do right now for the sake of the chat is, that's my question for you guys. And Mike Silver says Dumb and Dumber is a classic, yes. But one of the worst movies ever is Dumb and Dumber. What are some of your favorite comedy movies of all time? List 3 comedy movies that you love. But when I think of comedy movies, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of films I could consider a comedy, like, I don't know, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But I consider that more than just a comedy movie. So, like, it's hard just to, like, keep it right there in that one genre for me. I think some of my favorite comedy movies are bigger than just comedy movies. 22 Jump Street. Yeah, that was okay. I definitely liked, I thought, wasn't it 21 Jump Street or was it 22? Is it 21 or 22? Either way. Yeah, I liked that. That was fine. That was actually the movie that made me like Channing Tatum. That and Magic Mike. So going back to the How Gay Am I? Well, Magic Mike definitely took it up to 92%. Don't tell my wife. Oh, Wayne's World. Okay. Thank you for reminding me of Wayne's World and that it existed, because that is, in fact, probably my top 5 comedy movies of all time. There's Wayne's World for me is more than just a comedy movie. It's one of those feel-good movies that take me back to a happy place. And when I watch Wayne's World, it's the perfect embodiment of an early 1990s just feel-good movie that makes me happy. And I'll tell you what I love most about it. Just 2 dudes sitting in a basement making a show. A shitty little show. And nowadays, that would be called YouTube. So in a weird way, it's so relatable. But when I used to watch Wayne's World, and I used to watch it on SNL, I love the skits, but I remember watching that show and thinking, I would love to do a public access show in my basement. I remember thinking that was so awesome, and I didn't give a shit if 10 people would watch it. And now, here with the advent of technology and a little thing called YouTube, look what we did. But I did want that vacuum where you could cut your hair, where it was called like the suck and cut. Well, it certainly does suck. All right. I like American Pie 1999. Yeah, I love American Pie. See, we need more raunchy comedies like American Pie. I just wish cancel culture would calm the fuck down and X would get deleted. And then we could have like artistic opinions again and not everyone would get mad and cry about them. That would be phenomenal. Raunchy comedies that weren't afraid to offend people. I would say movies, American Pie was one of the last great ones. Like, why can't the main character of movie just fuck a pie anymore? That's all I'm saying. When we can get back to that, we'll know cinema is back. All right, the next one the next one comes from Lee B Films, who says, I meant Celeb MK game as literal MK, where you choose a celeb to fight another one, like The Rock versus Kim K. Well, that's called Celebrity Deathmatch, my good friend. Also, my five filmographies, I would choose Spielberg, Scorsese, Cameron, Tarantino, and Lynch. Excuse me. I forgot about Tarantino, man. Yeah, I definitely picked Tarantino. When it comes to Tarantino movies, I have probably watched Django Unchained and The Hateful Eight and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at least 75 times. At least. I find those three movies so rewatchable. You talk about a movie that takes you to a weird, happy place, it's all three of those movies. I guess I just love witty dialogue and blood. Mike Silver says, the suck cut is real. It's called the Flowbee. I've heard of that. You know what's funny? Those actually sold really well during the pandemic era. Because no one could leave their house. People were doing haircuts at home. All right. Gavin Sam says, where does Drive rank in your all-time list? Oh, it's definitely in the top 100. I don't know where at, but it's in there. And that was a movie that I remember seeing in theaters, and I didn't know what to think about it. And then I watched it again on Blu-ray, and I loved it. I just needed to see it a second time to comprehend what I was getting myself into. All right, the next one comes from... Mike Silver says Ghostbusters is his favorite comedy. Three Amigos. I never loved Three Amigos. I love Steve Martin and Martin Shore and Chevy Chase, but I think that was one of the weaker movies they were in. Oh, Something About Mary, 1998. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, no one makes jokes about cum anymore or fucking pies. No one does that anymore. I don't even know what is considered funny nowadays. American Psycho is a black comedy, definitely. I completely agree with you, and I find it hilarious. But I don't think a lot of people would put it in the comedy genre. You know what I mean? It's more than that. Kevy Rez says, I got my ticket for WrestleMania next year. I'm hype. Did you pay like $10,000 for that bad boy? I was looking at ticket prices for WrestleMania next year, and you had to buy a 2-day ticket in the shittiest nosebleed seat where you're basically on top of the arena looking down from 8,000 feet away, watching it with a telescope. You'd be closer watching it on the moon. It was like $900 or $1,000. And I was like, no. And the funny thing is, next year, WrestleMania night 1 is actually on my birthday. So I wanted to go see it on my birthday in Vegas, but I just can't justify those ticket prices. But the good news is the Royal Rumble will actually be in Indianapolis this upcoming February, and that's only like an hour and a half away from my house. So I will definitely be dropping some money on those tickets. So I will be watching WrestleMania at home. But hey, man, enjoy the show. I'm glad you got some tickets. The next one comes from Toro McJohnson, who says Lost Highway 1997 is a great film for couples. I have not. Have I seen Lost Highway? I have. Oh, hang on. This is. Yeah, okay, I knew it was a Lynch movie. Anonymous videotapes. Okay, interesting. All right. Sorry, my internet's not loading fast enough to look at this for some reason. Okay, well, yeah, it sounds interesting. Okay. It's a Lynch flick. I knew it sounded familiar. All right, the next one comes from Dustin Rich, who says, did you suggest having an American Psycho-themed wedding to your wife? Don't just look at it, eat it. Well, I did say that when we cut the cake. But, and I did say that on the wedding night. No, I did play some Huey Lewis on the News. I did play some Hip to Be Square. So I did play some American Psycho music at the wedding. I definitely did. Did I dance around with an axe and a raincoat? Maybe. It was American Psycho themed as I could possibly make it. Derek says, hey, John, congrats on getting married. Well, thanks, Derek. Also, I recently watched Tucker and Dale versus Evil for the first time, and I haven't laughed so hard watching a movie in a while. What are your thoughts on it? I don't think I've seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I'm sorry. I'm looking it up now. This came out in 2010. It's actually... I thought it was going to be like a Trailer Park Boys movie or something. What is this? Two scuffy pals, backwood vacation takes a bloody turn when ignorant college students mistake them for a pair of murderous hillbillies. I've never watched this. Have you guys seen this? Have you seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil? It looks like a college project or something. Interesting. Is this like a little hidden gem? Okay. I will look into this. Seems like the right time of year to watch it. I did just recently watch, I tell you a couple movies I watched recently talking about horror films. I did finally watch Strange Darling. Quite enjoyed it. Pretty good stuff. And speaking of Tarantino earlier, definitely feels like it borrows from the storytelling aspect of a non-linear story from Tarantino with the chapter format, which I think was the best way to tell it. But quite enjoyed Strange Darling. It's bloody and violent and a good time. And we recently just rewatched Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. And I've always loved that movie. I've always said it's probably my top 5 favorite horror films of all time because I do think it's truly terrifying, especially the early incarnation of Freddy in that movie. Just the way he sounds and how demented he is. And the most terrifying shot in the original Nightmare on Elm Street for me is, it's not when the glove comes up through Nancy's thighs in the bathtub, though it's a great shot. It's in the first act of the film when Freddy is simply running down the alleyway and he's running like this. To me, that's one of the most terrifying shots in that entire film. I don't know why. It just makes me go, ugh. Like, I don't know. It haunts my dreams to this day. But what I wanted to say was, I forgot how terrible the ending to Nightmare on Elm Street is. It's terrible. Now, I know there was a few alternative endings that they shot to that movie, which they should have used. But the scene where the mom gets sucked through the door almost ruins the movie, doesn't it? She just looks like a blow-up doll, shaped like a bowling pin or something. Anyway. Let's go to the next question. All right. By the way, thanks for the question, Derek. All right, the next one comes from Claudia Rogajon, who says, random, but I'm watching Unleashed with Jet Li. And it got me thinking, but out of all his films that you have seen, which one is your favorite? Also, if you've ever seen his film Fearless. Watch it. It's truly great martial arts film. I have seen Fearless. My favorite Jet Li movie is The One. With Jason Statham. I'm kidding. It's not that at all. I'm trying to think if I have a favorite Jet Li movie. There's movies I like that he's in. I mean, Jet Li was in Lethal Weapon 4. I liked him in that. But I'm trying to think of like my favorite Jet Li movie. It's hard for me to say because like I have favorite Jackie Chan movies, but I don't know if I have a favorite Jet Li movie. The thing is with Jet Li, I like when he's doing martial arts. I just never thought Jet Li was like this profound actor who drew me to the screen. And maybe I'm mistaken there. But I'm just trying to pinpoint a movie that I love that Jet Li's in. And I can't off the top of my head. The next one comes from Night King 01, who says, since everything coming out right now is recycled baby food, I've decided to watch some older stuff and watched Pope of Greenwich Village. Makes me sad Mickey Rourke lost it. Him and Eric Roberts in that film are great. Also felt like a real human directed it. Yeah, that's the thing, man. I miss films that felt like they had a pulse and a heartbeat. And can I say something to you guys? Can I make a confession? I would like to make a movie confession. Is that okay? Here we go. This is just between me and the 204 people watching right now that had nothing better to do on Friday night, and they came here to look at my stupid face, and I thank you for that. I really do. Thank you for coming here to look at me. It does mean a lot. Because without you, I ain't shit. But here it goes. Here's my confession. I love Gladiator. I love it a lot. I have the Maximus helmet back there, and I will buy every Gladiator 2 popcorn bucket that comes out because I'm going through a midlife crisis, and buying those little plastic popcorn buckets that are overpriced just make me feel better about my life. But what I really want to say is, as much as I'm looking forward to the new Gladiator movie, and I need an epic swords and sandals movie, I really do. The trailers to me just look off. It just looks weird. Like something about that CGI rhino and something about the Colosseum sequences, they just don't look as good. And I know I sound like a boomer talking about the golden era of cinema, even though it was only 20 years ago. But there's just something about the original Gladiator film that was in fact shot on film that just looks better. It looks timeless. I feel like you could watch the original Gladiator movie in another 100 years and people would still appreciate it and think it was a good Roman Gladiator movie. And I feel like with this new installment, Gladiator 2, it just looks a little too digitized. It looks like they're trying to cater to people with ADD. It looks like they're trying to have too much happen too quickly, and it just doesn't look even feasible or logistically possible or physically possible. And what I mean by that is just the way some of the action sequences look in that trailer with like the rhino and everything happening. It just looks like they're like speeding up the movements of it, because in reality, like it would be going too slow to keep people's attention. And it just doesn't look feasible. It looks like a CGI comic book movie at this point. It doesn't look like some epic Roman gladiator fight in the Colosseum. It's really just that CGI rhino that throws me off. I don't know. Does anyone else agree with that? Doesn't it just look more green screeny than the original? Even though the original had tons of CGI and special effects, but it just felt like they didn't rely on it as much as this new movie. I know, it's getting late. I'm rambling. I just wanted to share that with you guys. But anyway, let's get back to the questions. And I have not seen Pope of Greenwich Village. I have not seen that. I have not seen it. I'm sorry. What is this? Dasky Master? Here we go. Congrats on the wedding, John. Have you seen Terrifier 3? Just went to a Q&A screening with Thornton and Leone, doing so before the film. Great time. Not only have I seen Terrifier 3, I have a review of Terrifier 3 with Chris Parker of 3C Films on YouTube. So if you want, and you're bored and you want to know my thoughts on Terrifier 3, go to the Flickpick channel and watch my Terrifier 3 review. Check it out. I put it out like a month ago. I was actually at the world premiere of Terrifier 3 at Fantastic Fest. And also, one of the executive producers emailed me after I saw the movie and wanted me to watch his film. What is it called? What is his film called? Stream? Is it called Stream? I think that's what it's called. Anyway, don't correct me if I'm wrong. Dino Boy 909 says, Dino Boy 909. I love that shit, man. Thoughts on Ernest Scared Stupid? Oh, I love me some Ernest Scared Stupid. They got to spray all those troll people with like milk. Weird shit, but I love it. I used to love Ernest Scared Stupid. But I loved Ernest Scared Stupid, Ernest Goes to Prison, and the Christmas Ernest. I loved those. All right. The next one comes from Michael Witherspoon, who says, congrats on marriage, John. Sending prayers and love. Well, thank you for that. Much appreciated. I need more. Send prayers. Give the video a like. It'll help my marriage. All right. The next one comes from Mark Wallace, who says, thank God you're back now. I don't have to go to P-Hub anymore. You know what's funny about that? They actually blocked that in the state of Indiana. You have to sign up with an ID to prove that you're an adult. No, thank you, sir. No, thank you. That's what a VPN is for. Andy says, favorite movie with a number in the title. Troll 2. I don't know. Favorite movie with a number in the title? Not the number 23. Definitely not that. 7. We'll go with 7. I think that's a good movie with a number in the title. There you go. All right, the next one comes from Don Juan, who says, did you see that Joe Rogan episode with Trump finally came out a little bit ago? I know you don't talk politics, but we can't let Psycho Camilla stay in there or we'll all be homeless like the pigeon lady. Blah. Much love, John. Yeah, I'll check it out. I did mention that earlier. I will listen to the podcast when I mow my grass, maybe this weekend. I'll savor the flavor for then, because that's when I like to listen to my podcasts, when I have the rumbling of my mower under my loins. I'm curious to check it out, though. Kevy Rez says, seeing CM Punk live for the first time and John Cena final WrestleMania match is going to be emotional to experience, and Roman versus Rock is going to be epic. Well, I don't think it's quite been announced that Cena's facing CM Punk, because the build-up right now is Seth Rollins and CM Punk, but anything can happen. I've heard it's going to be Gunther facing John Cena at WrestleMania, and maybe, just maybe, he wins the title. And then maybe, just maybe, he keeps it until SummerSlam. And then maybe, just maybe, he loses it. But those are just theories. I need to start a YouTube channel talking about wrestling. What am I doing talking about movies? All right. What's 3 freaking hours long? Yeah, it's, you know, the thing is, so here it is. I get why Gladiator 1 is a masterpiece and should be left alone. I'm okay with a sequel. It just something about the look of it looks, and maybe it's just the trailers and they're trying to make it look as epic and fast paced. But it looks like it's not going to take its time. For some odd reason, it looks like it's like trying to throw too much at the screen. It's called Stream. Okay, I was glad I got it right. Did you see Demolition Man in theaters and T2 Judgment Day? I did not see either of those in theaters. I think Demolition Man came out, 1993? T2 came out in 91. I think I was a little too young to remember seeing T2 in theaters. I don't know if I did. Yeah, I didn't see either in theaters. Though 1993 that's when my brain became cognitive enough to be aware of movies I was seeing in theaters. So I do remember some other movies I saw in the early 90s. Like I remember seeing The Addams Family 2. I remember seeing The Three Musketeers. And a slew of other films in theaters, but neither of those. Dino Boy 909 back at it says, thoughts on the new Pet Detective movie starring Jim Carrey, and who else will you want starring in it? I didn't know they were making a new Pet Detective movie, and I thought Jim Carrey wasn't going to star in movies anymore. All right. Ken from the Boonies, you had another question? Here it is. Ken from the Boonies says, Japanese food is among the most healthiest and safest foods to eat, except for all the mercury. Even fast food? Oh, even fast food? I don't know. Miles better than the processed garbage we eat in the U.S. Oh, yeah. Red dye number 10 that just causes brain cancer. I completely agree. We are being fed poison because let's be honest, the government does not want us to live past the age of 68 years old. They can't support it. The infrastructure cannot support it. Social Security cannot support it. You need to die by 72 years old, or else we're going to have overpopulation and the healthcare system will collapse under its own weight. And plus, let's be honest, who's going to take care of us when we get old? When's the last time you relied on anyone for customer service? No one's going to take care of us. We're going to be laying there in our diapers covered in poop, and it's going to take 3 business days for anyone to pick up a phone call for help. And even then, it's going to be some dude overseas who picks it up. And he's not going to help me. So anyway, what was the question? Those monkeys look horrendous in the trailer. Were there monkeys in the trailer for Gladiator? Or my brain is stuck on that rhino. Yes, this is the Drive jacket. This is actually the one Ryan Gosling wore in the film. I bought this from him. No, I'm kidding. I got this for free in 2011, and a company sent it to me if I made a video on it, and I did in fact make a video review on the jacket. I think it was like $100-something, but I've had this thing forever. It's still holding up pretty nice. It's a nice little jacket. Feels good. It's comfortable and keeps you warm. It's silky. It's smooth. I just need a toothpick. Okay, the next one comes from Mark Wallace, who says, thank God you're back. Now I don't have to go. Oh, we already answered that one. Okay, I'll answer a few more questions here. Dino Boy says, favorite movie rental memory? Did you go to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video? So I used to go to, okay. So when I was younger, we'll talk about this for a minute. Okay. So if you got any juicy questions, get them in. So when I was younger, I grew up in a very small town with probably one red light. And in this town, there was a gas station, and I grew up in a small town in Ohio called Van Wert. If you get really bored, Google it. Van Wert, Ohio. It's basically an intersection with some houses. That's the town. But my favorite place in this town was a gas station that also had a drive-through, because you could pull into the drive-through and ask for anything in the gas station. You want some bubble gum, you want some cigarettes, whatever you want. That's what it was for. But also at the same facility, they had a small little video rental store. And it was probably like 2 shelves. They had a few new titles and some old titles, but we would go there once a week and pick out a few movies to watch. And it's little memories like that I think truly formulated me into whatever I am now. But yeah, I remember doing that. And also when I was a stupid little kid and I lived in this small town, and this is a time before you would get abducted and put in someone's well. I would actually I had a Power Wheels truck that was like a fire truck. And I would drive it down the block to the gas station and buy packs of bubble gum. And then I would drive home and hope the battery didn't die. And I'll say it here and I'll say it now. I was one of the first participants with an electric car, okay? I drove Power Wheels around with plastic tires. That drives like shit on the sidewalk, but I did it because I care about the environment, all right? So anyway, but after that, we moved, and where we moved to, Blockbuster was our primary source of video rentals. And once I got into Blockbuster, going from this shitty little gas station that had like 7 movies to pick from, and don't get me wrong, I loved all 7 movies that I had to pick from. But once I got to Blockbuster and I opened up the door for the first time, I could smell that hot, plasticky smell of those cases and the carpet and just thousands of titles with the bubblegum machine. Oh, I was in heaven. I was in blue and yellow heaven. And that's where we went for many years. And then after that, we started going to Hollywood Video. And then there was a few other random mom and pop video stores that we went to over the years. But so yeah, I've been a customer of every single major video chain that probably exists. But I would definitely say Blockbuster was probably easily the most iconic one. And if you look back there, I know you can't really see it, but that right there is a Blockbuster light up sign I bought on Etsy, which is kind of cool. I'll give you guys a room tour video one of these days. All right, the next one comes from Kevy Rez, who says, if you go to Royal Rumble, prepare or Joe Hendry. Oh, yeah, I think he'll definitely be making a debut for sure. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I've never been to a Royal Rumble, and the fact it's at the Lucas Oil Stadium where the Colts play, huge stadium, I'm looking forward to it. I just hope tickets don't cost like $10,000. Dustin Rich says, do you think Dino Boy's parents would approve of him watching your sick-deprived live shows? I don't know. I think these are informative and educational enough to justify their existence. Yeah, they're a little bit weird and edgy at times, but nevertheless, I'm just here to tell you stories of the past and talk about movies and make some dick and fart jokes along the way. That's all we're doing here. Nothing crazy. It's PG-13, I would say. John, delete 5 movies from history. Okay, how about this? All the Twilight movies and 50 Shades of Grey. There you go. The next one comes from Bruce Cook, who says, Van Wert, Ohio is the country seat of Van Wert County. Is the county seat? I think it's more like if Ohio was a toilet, Van Wert, Ohio would be the hole in the drain where it all just goes down. GF Hostman says, John, what were you like in college? Did you do YouTube at that time? I was kind of like I was probably a little weirder than I am now, not in a good way. The thing with school is I would just show up late. I would leave early. I didn't participate in many things. I tried to skip class as much as I could. And the weird thing is I would still turn in all of my projects and all of my assignments on time, and they would be pretty good. And my teachers hated me. And they asked me, I remember I had one professor who taught like advertising or something. And I have an applied science degree in graphic design and marketing. And I remember he said this one day that this is where I'm going to pat myself on the back just for a second here. There was like, he was talking to the class and they were taking attendance or something. And I showed up to class maybe once a week just to figure out what the fuck I had to do. And then I would do it at home and turn it in. And he said to the class, he's like, that guy's never here and it pisses me off, but his work's really good. And that pisses me off even more. And that stuck with me for a long time. And that told me something. It told me that you don't have to be present to be accounted for. Whatever that means, I don't know. Anyway. It's like, dude, I have Photoshop at home. I don't need to come there and sit around with all these fucking kids and work on Photoshop assignments. Like, I can just do it at home and email you. I don't think you understood the concept. Anyway, so in college, I was kind of the same as I am now. Maybe not as well spoken to a degree. Maybe a little more weird and douchier and skinnier. But other than that, kind of the same guy. The next one comes from Bruce Cook. Once again, if you drove a Power Wheel, it would have been a Ford F-150. No, it was a fire truck, I assure you. It had the little ladder on the side. Green Goblin says, have you seen the movie Evolution? I have not seen Evolution since 2002, when it was one of the first DVDs I remember watching on the PS2 that could play DVDs. And I was never a big fan of it, to be honest with you. But for some odd reason, the funny thing is, when you asked me how I was in college, I was thinking of Sean William Scott, because I got that comparison before, and he's also in Evolution. So there you go. Light Brighter. Here it is. Light Brighter. Light Brighter says, John, years ago, there was a guy in the chat who asked you repeatedly to sleep with his wife. Was that Stuckman, and is that why you two fell out? Because you didn't want... Speaking of that, no, I'm kidding. I don't know who that was, man. But I will tell you a story. This is probably like 7 years ago. There was a guy on Instagram who DM'd me and kind of hinted at that exact same question. And he said he would pay me with Blu-rays. And he was serious. And he sent pictures. And I just thought that was the weirdest thing. I was like, you're going to pay me with physical media. Like it's a currency. And I told the guy, I was like, hey man, I take cold hard cash. You don't have to pay me with optical discs. And then he kind of disappeared after that. Anyway. So no, but thank you for the question. Andy says, favorite Kurosawa film? Oh God. Hang on. Don't go anywhere. Okay, I was seeing if there's another one I haven't. Okay, Seven Samurai I've seen. Rashomon, I think Seven Samurai is the only film I've seen of his. I was trying to think if there's another one. Ran I've not seen. To Live I've not seen. Throne of Blood I've not seen. And I should probably watch some of these if I'm going to talk about movies for a living on YouTube. But Seven Samurai I did watch. That's when I was going through my classic phase in college. That's where I was watching we would watch classic films occasionally. But I have seen Seven Samurai. That's the only film I've seen of his. I wish I could say I've seen more. Okay, the next one comes from that Goocher, Mr. Feldman, who says, how disgusting was Crazy Jason's bourbon chicken? Oh man, that shit was moving. It was wiggling. If you don't know what I'm talking about, my buddy Jason in a vlog we made, 8 years ago, I swear he got some orange chicken or some noodles, and it just they looked like they were dry, but yet they had a life of their own. And I swear I saw one move. I know it did. And one had like a little hand coming out, like one of the chicken nugget things had like little fingers coming out of the side of it. Like you could just tell it was like an underdeveloped chicken fetus that was just ripped out and cooked and covered in soy sauce. Okay, Bruce Cook says, which is worse, Independence Day, Resurgence, or 50 Shades Freed? I think the bigger disappointment would probably be Independence Day, Resurgence. Don't you all agree? Could you think of a worse movie that you could have made as a sequel to that? I can't. Joker 2 every day or STDs. Oh, I'll take chlamydia over Joker 2 any day. You can put that on the Blu-ray cover. Actually, should I re-edit my Rotten Tomatoes quote? I'd rather have chlamydia than watch this movie again. You know, the weird thing is with Joker 2, with all the hate, I still think there's like a handful of really good ideas. And if for nothing else, Joker 2 looks better than 98% of other digital junk movies coming out today. Like, I will defend certain elements of Joker 2. They did everything they shouldn't have with that movie, but it still looks better than the regurgitated digital noise that we're seeing on streaming services every day. Let's be honest. Let's give it some credit where credit's due. And that's the only credit we're going to give it. Dino Boy 909 back at it again, who, by the way, is not a boy. He's, in fact, a man. Favorite rappers of all time, John. My name is pronounced Dino, not Dino. But I want to call you Dino Boy. Doesn't that sound better, man? It sounds cool. Oh, it's a city you live in San Bernardino, California. I'm going to call you're Dino Boy to me, man. For the rest of your life, you're Dino Boy. You're not Dino, you're Dino. And that's a much cooler name, let's be honest. You sexual Tyrannosaurus Rex, you. Favorite rappers? I don't know. I like Eminem. I like Snoop. I liked NWA. There's a few rap groups I like. I like early 90s and late 80s rap. To me, it just sounds better. It sounds fun. It's more enjoyable. It's more uplifting in a way. Bruce Cook says, John, did you ever hook up with Ludwig from Sweden? Ludwig from Sweden? What is that a reference to? Am I missing something? Ludwig from Sweden. What is that a reference to? Night King 01 says, John, you talking about Blockbuster makes me glad I got to experience Blockbuster in my life. My cinema experience started in the 80s and 90s. Action, martial arts films, Rumble in the Bronx was a regular rental. Oh, absolutely, man. No, my family, back in the 90s, I would go see movies, I would say occasionally, a couple times a month or something, but we didn't go to the movie theater every week. By any means. And there was a multitude of movies back in the 90s that I just had to wait till they came out on VHS to watch them, or they came out on HBO to watch them. And even watching a new movie from Blockbuster in itself was a challenge, because you got to keep in mind, there's only so many copies of this movie for the entire city to go rent and watch. So if you have 10 copies of a movie, only 10 people are going to watch that shit on Friday night. And then it's gone. And then you have to call them up before you go there. Hey, do you have a copy of, Mortal Kombat? Yeah? Okay, can you hold it for us? Okay, we'll hold it for 1 hour. And you're all panicky driving there. I couldn't even drive at the time, so I'm in the passenger seat saying, go faster! And just to rent a copy of a VHS movie. And then when you rent it, you take it home, you watch it, then you rewind it, or else they charge you $5, and then you got to drive that shit back the next day. But the beauty in returning to the video rental store to return a movie, well, you got to talk your parents into it, but you can walk in and rent another movie. But sometimes they'd say, no, put it in the Dropbox, we're leaving, we're going home. And I'd say, but doesn't that just feel like a waste of a trip not to go in? Maybe to just look around. Anyway. I miss Blockbuster. And I'm going to tell you this. I think having video rental stores back in the 90s, early 2000s, I really think that defined and helped nurture and develop a whole generation of movie enthusiasts, because I just feel like you had to earn it a little bit more. It was ingrained in your DNA. And now you're just inundated with whatever's on streaming. Here's the new John Cena comedy movie that sucks ass. Here, watch it. and instantly forget about it. Or don't even watch it. Play it in the background as you do something else, or play on your phone and watch TikTok. That's what newer movies have become. But when the video rental store existed, you had to have dedication. You had to earn that shit. You had to go rent it. And you were invested in it. You weren't just going to rent some movie not to watch it. No, that's blasphemy. You would never do such a thing. So I think that ingrained a really strong, I guess, I don't want to say urge. That sounds weird and primal. But I guess it developed me into like truly appreciating movies. And I feel like that appreciation with every new generation is slowly going to dwindle down to nothing because you're just presented with what to watch on a daily basis. You don't really have to make a choice. You just click here. I don't like it. Click the next thing. Don't like it. So anyway, that's my little rant about hating the newer generation of people that don't appreciate movies. Anyway, does anyone else agree with anything I just said? Please let me know. All I'm saying is I truly feel like one of the fundamentals of the industry of films was the video rental store. And when they ripped that out, they ripped the heart out of it. And without a heartbeat, well, the body is no more and the soul will fade away. Let's go to the next question. Jack Lame says, "Hey, John, oh, God. Oh, God. Nike, no, I do not. But thanks for the offer. Physical media will never die. It won't die. There'll definitely be a strong following for it, but man, it's fading quick." John, what's another biopic you would like to see on a person or event you would want? Well, I know we're getting a Michael Jackson biopic, but I think it's being approved by his family, so I think it's going to be a little glamorized. But I like a true, gritty, real Michael Jackson biopic. I think it would be really good. I think that sounds kind of cool. I don't know. I know we've had Arnold-esque biopics. There's been some shitty ones made, but I think like a really good Arnold Schwarzenegger biopic would be good. Maybe one day. Eric Boschan says, "John, congrats on getting married. Have you seen the 10-year anniversary version of Nightcrawler we're getting in Australia? Super cool slipcase, and it includes a 122-page script of the film. That sounds phenomenal." Interesting. Is it on 4K? Tell me it's on 4K. If it's 1080p, I'm going to be very upset. What a waste. Is that 4K? Somebody let me know in the comments. All right. No, that sounds awesome, man. I would definitely buy that shit in a heartbeat if it's on 4K. All right. The next one comes from, because Nightcrawler is not just a movie. It's a gift you give yourself. All right. The next one comes from Night King of One, who says, "Is it weird that I watched as a kid..." Wait. What are we saying here? "Is it weird that all I watched as a kid was 80s and 90s movies from Blockbuster? I was a 2000s kid, so I feel blessed in a way. It feels like my dad saved my taste in movies with those rentals from Blockbuster." Oh, he absolutely did, man, because you went there and you looked at the cover art and then you made a decision that day, right? And the thing is, on the top shelf, it was nothing but quality movies at Blockbuster. They put the junk on the lower tier of the shelf. The outer walls of Blockbuster had all the big new movies, and then down the rows in the middle had all the older like catalog titles. But the cover art's what used to sell me quite a bit. And there's always those movies where every time you went, you're like, maybe today's the day. And you kind of hold the movie and think about it, and you keep walking around looking for another movie. I remember I went to the video rental store like 9 times without renting the movie Shocker. For some reason, I was just like, maybe next time I'll watch this. And then one day I rented Shocker. And it was, I wouldn't say a good experience, but it was an experience nevertheless. It's finger looking good. Kind of a shitty Freddy knockoff. Yeah, Freddy was a cable repairman. John, who are you going to be for Halloween? I'm going to be Dexter. That's pretty cool. Actually, me and the wife are going to be the characters from Zombies Ate My Neighbors. She will obviously be the girl, and I will be the guy with the spiky blonde hair and 3D glasses. So we have our costumes ready to go. I will post a picture on Instagram. So yeah, we wanted it was that or Ginny and Forrest Gump. Maybe I'll save the Forrest Gump for another year. I hate scrolling to find movies on streaming services. Yeah, usually what I do, and I know my routine, I will spend 73 minutes opening and closing 7 different streaming service apps, scrolling through all of them. Eventually, I'll get too tired. Then I'll watch TikTok for 10 minutes and fall asleep. That's pretty much how it goes. All right, the next one comes. I'm going to answer just a few more questions here, guys. So no more super chats or anything because I don't want to miss your questions. But if you guys have any questions, just type them in the normal chat here, and I'll try to get to them. All right. Bruce Cook says, live stream back in 2016. Ludwig asked you about the size of your body part. I'm just kidding here. Oh, I don't remember that whatsoever. Enjoy your edibles, John. Not tonight, surprisingly, but maybe after the live stream, because I'm going to go watch SmackDown and lay in bed. And nothing's better than wrestling, baby oil, and edibles. Dino Boy, or Dino, I'll say it one time. Dino Boy 909 says, John, have you seen Blood In, Blood Out? Oh boy, have I. You know what's weird about this? Maybe I'm slightly autistic. I'm not quite sure. But I remember vividly the first time, where and when I've watched 90% of the movies I've seen. And I remember specifically, I was at my cousin Scott's house, who kind of lives down in the hood, just ever so slightly, but like the nicer part of the hood. And he had like 3 or 4 friends over. And this was back in like 1990, we'll say 1994. And I remember watching Blood In, Blood Out at his house and just thinking to myself, I do not ever want to go to prison. I just would not belong there. And I remember all of his friends at the time thinking like, this is cool, I want to go there. And I'm just thinking, man, you'll be there one day, trust me. And eventually they did go there. But anyway, I've seen Blood In, Blood Out, man, and that's a movie that makes you never want to go to San Quentin, okay? Oh, I'll talk about the new Venom movie tomorrow. Yeah, it sucks. It's bad. I don't like it. I'm also slightly autistic. It's a superpower. Hey, I'll take it. John, have you seen Peter Jackson's horror films? Okay, such as what? The Frighteners, I quite enjoy. Bruce Cook says, didn't mean to insult, John. Just one of your funniest live stream reactions. Yeah, man, I just couldn't remember that. I'm sorry. Hey, Bruce, can you link me to it was in 2016 I said that? Sorry, I can't remember the live stream I made last week. All right, Silvio 10708 who has been a member for 15 months. Yay, says, I love your reviews. Well, thanks for that. Hopefully I can make more. A-Train says, have you seen The Machinist? Oh boy, have I. I love it. I've only seen The Machinist actually once, years ago, and I enjoyed the movie. I remember a lot about it. But I would like to go revisit it once again. I think maybe I'll appreciate it even more if I watch it again. John, when did you realize you could make a living on YouTube? Any advice? Well, the truth is, I remember any money I made from YouTube was just sort of like a nice gift. And I knew, I hoped one day I could do it full time. And then I remember losing my job / getting fired in like 2000 and like early 2013, and thinking, man, okay, I guess I'll just do YouTube now. And I remember sticking with it for 3, 4, 5, 6 more months, and it started just taking off. And eventually, what I did, well, at that time, I was actually signed up with a MCN, a multi-channel network. That's what they were called back in the day. It was Machinima, and I was signed under their banner. And with Machinima, they just ravaged people. They took advantage of everybody. But at the time, it was the only way I could get partnered on YouTube, because YouTube would not partner my channel. I tried like 15 times to become a partner with my main channel, The Flick Pick. And I don't know if maybe I had a video that had copywritten content or some stupid reason, but I could just never get partnered. And so I had to get partnered through Machinima, and they would pay you like nothing. They took all of your money and paid you like $2 per 1,000 views. So I was making a little bit of money, but then my contract with them ended, and I signed with another multi-channel network called Full Screen. And the first paycheck I got from them, I was like, oh shit, I can do this full time now, which was pretty cool. And also that was, I think it was the perfect storm of a lot of things culminating at one time. So this was back in like 2013, 14. And this is at a time when you could put out a review for some mediocre movie and it would do well on YouTube. Or you could cover movie news, for example. If you covered some movie news, it was like the first set photo of Batman's left nipple, you'd get like 100,000 views. Like, it wasn't hard at all. Like, it was the easiest time ever on YouTube, and one of the most enjoyable times, because it didn't feel so saturated, and it felt like people weren't just trying to do it for the money. They were kind of like, there was a little heart involved in it. So it was around 2013, 2014, I realized I could make a living from it. But the truth is, the real thing that's always helped out the majority of the time on YouTube was getting lucky with sponsorship deals. Because you didn't have to rely on YouTube AdSense. That was always so, which they're much more commonplace today. But back in like 2014, that was like the Wild West. That was new territory being broken into. That was like the first time advertisers wanted to spend any money on some stupid little kid on YouTube. And thank God they did. So yeah, did I answer your question, man? I don't know. I hope I did. But really, if you're trying to make a name for yourself now, my best advice, and I'm not a big fan of doing it, but I would say is TikTok's a good starting place. Feels like you can kind of organically get an audience on there without people seeking you out too much, which is good in a way. So the next one comes from Mike's Movie Talk, who says, favorite stoner film besides Dazed and Confused. I don't know. Does Fast Times at Ridgemont High count, or stoner movie? I don't like the Harold and Kumar movies. I feel like they're just trying too hard. I mean, Fast Times at Ridgemont High would be my favorite stoner movie. I'm sorry. It just would be. Night King 01 says, Rumble in the Bronx cover art always made me rent the movie. Yeah, it's Jackie Chan like this with like an explosion behind him and the Bronx. Some days we would take it back just to re-rent it again. I think you could call and re-rent the movie without going back. Anyway, nothing like Jackie Chan DVD cover with an explosion behind him. Yep, there it is. Also, Mr. Nice Guy, Jackie Chan's face with an even bigger explosion. Yeah, all you needed for a good action movie back in the 90s for a VHS cover was Jean-Claude Van Damme doing this, or doing this, or doing this, or doing this, and put a fucking explosion behind him. Done. Sold. Mike's, already answered that one. Favorite Van Damme movie? My guilty pleasure Van Damme movie is Lionheart. I would say Time Cop is probably his best movie. YouTube did not change for the better. In many ways, YouTube did change for the better. In my opinion, there's a lot of things on YouTube now that I wish existed 10 years ago. I think the copyright features on YouTube are significantly more transparent. I think the fact that you can edit a video after it's uploaded now is like mind-blowing to me. This is the kind of shit like you would hope existed back in 2014. Because there was nothing worse in life than busting your ass on a video. It exists on the internet for like 2 days and then it gets demonetized because you don't know. You don't know why it was demonetized just because. And now I like that they specify at 2:02 in the video, you show a clip of this. And even if it's a dumb reason and it's not justified and you can kind of dispute it, and my biggest complaint are movie studios, and I'm talking to you, Universal, you shitbags that don't understand what copyright laws are and free use. But anyway, beyond that, I think that's another reason I hate Smile 2. Was that Paramount or Universal? Either way, they put a copyright claim in that video, and it really pissed me the fuck off. You know what I almost did once I found that copyright claim on my Smile 2, my Smile 1 review? They put a copyright claim on that, and I let it go for like 6 months, and I was looking at it the other day, and I was like, why is this even here? And it's because I used 9 seconds of trailer footage when I should have used like 6. And I just thought to myself, you know what I'm going to do? I almost wanted to reword the title of that, something else, like something more hate-filled towards Universal, or is it Universal, right? That's who. Anyway, I don't know. I'm rambling now. Let's answer another question. John, will we see a Flick Cave tour? Yeah, I will do a tour of this at some point. It's just I was getting married. It was busy. But that's one of the videos on my to-do list I want to make. Also, I have like another movie night I want to make for you guys at some point. That might come out in November. I'm not quite sure, though. And by the way, speaking of rambling and ranting, at one point, maybe not today, I'm going to wait and see what happens, but I might just dedicate the rest of my life to telling my audience and every viewer of my channel to never, ever fucking buy another LG TV as long as you live. This is the second LG TV I've had that has broken exactly at the 2-year mark where the warranty ends, within days. Second time this has happened. But I'll save that story for another time. You know what's weird, Bruce? I never loved Universal Soldier. I know. I just never loved it. Sorry. Oh, God. No, they're not as strict on copyrighted stuff now on YouTube. And the cool thing about YouTube now with music, you can actually buy the rights to like decent music on YouTube now. If you go look at the music library, you can find free shit that sounds kind of generic and junky. It sounds like elevator music, and that's okay. I use some of it occasionally. But there are songs that you can literally buy the lifetime rights to use. And I did that with my new intro, which is only like 6 seconds long on my main channel, The Flick Pick. I took a song that was like by some guy who sings 80s rock ballads, and he has like really big songs. I can't remember the name of it right now. But anyway, I literally bought that song for like $6. I have lifetime rights to use it. I can use it anywhere on YouTube, but I only bought it to use like a 6-second clip of like this cool guitar riff that just sounded badass to me. But yeah, that's another positive about YouTube nowadays. So, the biggest negative with YouTube now is just it's so saturated. It's just so everybody's a YouTuber now. And it's like, that's cool. That's awesome. But man, it's just, it's just the competition. Go with Samsung. I might go with Sony, to be honest with you, and not because I have an upcoming sponsorship with them, though I do. Will we see a Halloween flick trip? I don't know. There's only a few days left in Halloween. I'll see what I can do. I could maybe throw together a Halloween flick trip. Would you guys like that? Something quick, something easy? No more gym videos? I would have to go to the gym to make a gym video, and I haven't been there in about 4 months. I don't think I've been there since summer. But I do want to go back because I do feel like I'm withering away. I feel like my head's looking too big for my body. Lightbringer says, anyway, congrats and thanks. Well, thank you, Lightbringer. And I was reading your comments in there about the wife questions. And thank you for those questions. And thanks for watching, man. Dino Boy says, John, do you ever play your arcades in the background? Occasionally. So 90% of let's be honest, 90.9% of the time, these are just there for aesthetics in the background because I think they look really cool. But I do quite enjoy them. I like the vibe, right? But occasionally when I get really bored or I'm really stressed and I don't want too much stimulation, I want something simple and pure and unadulterated, I will play the arcade 1-ups for a little bit, like for 10, 20 minutes. You know, I'll play like Capcom versus Marvel 2 for a little bit. It's just fun to butt mash and beat the shit out of somebody. Good times. But yeah, I occasionally do play them. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap up the live show there for tonight. It is 12:38. I only planned on doing this for like an hour. I know I say that every time, but you guys are just too good to me. I don't want to leave you hanging, and it's fun hanging out. So anyway, guys, look out for a Venom 3 review tomorrow. Hopefully I can put that out. And also, if you haven't already, go check out my last couple of videos over on the Flickpick channel. I have reviews for Joker 2. Probably not a very good movie, but they're good videos. If you want to check them out, please do. And also, I have a YouTube short over on the Flickpick channel where I pick up my Venom popcorn bucket. Also, it's on Instagram as well. If you haven't followed me there, let me just whore myself out a little bit longer. So as always, guys, thanks for watching, and thanks for the comments, thanks for the questions, and just thanks for coming to look at my stupid face. It does mean a lot. Have a good night. Stay safe. And the next live stream I do with you guys, I will introduce my wife to you guys, Nikki. She will join me for at least the first part of the live stream on the next one. So look out for that, and stay safe. And I'll see you guys before Halloween for sure. We'll do a special Halloween-themed episode. I'll go a little bit more balls to the wall than just a shiny drive jacket. But nevertheless, take care, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.